You are watching NetSoft IT Academy. 905-812-2923. info@netsoftacademy.com. www.netsoftacademy.com.
So now let's start with the next lab. In this lab, we'll be again creating a new virtual machine. So click on new, create new virtual machine, next, next, next. This is again going to be a Server 2025 virtual machine, next. This time this will be NITA ADDS02. Now I'll click on browse here, select my Exchange server, Exchange labs here, click make a new folder, NITA ADDS02. Okay, next, BIOS, next, next. I'm going to give this 4 GB of RAM, next, 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 SCSI, next, not changing anything here, next, store as a single disk file, 320 GB, next, next, and finish. Now once this is done, I'll quickly mount the Windows Server 2025 ISO on this. This is in my recent, so I can just quickly mount it from here and power on this virtual machine and start installing the Exchange, sorry, not the Exchange server, but start installing the Windows Server ISO here. Now, the operating system, again, we are installing the same operating system as we normally do. So make sure that you are selecting the same standardized options. You're not doing anything other than that. Now, first will be next, because it will just ask us for the language and region, so we don't have to worry too much about it. Next, next. I agree, everything will be deleted. Next. Now this will ask us for the edition that we want to install. We go for data center edition. Next. Accept. Next. This is the 320 GB of space that we said was free for this, and install. Now I'll wait for this to complete installation. Once it is completed, then we will look at the next steps. So I'm going to log in here. Okay, I'm using the password p@ssw0id1350. Nothing changing here. We're doing the same process steps again, except this time this will be the domain controller for the second forest. So I'm going to first log in. And I'm going to set up this virtual machine like it has to be set up. So that includes doing things like changing the name, installing VMware tools, changing the IP address, turning off the firewall, doing everything that is necessary. So now again, because this is a new virtual machine, the first time that we'll sign in, it will be a little bit slower. So just keep that in mind. I'll just wait for this to complete loading here. And once it completes loading, then we will see the next steps here. So first of all, it is just going to ask me, what kind of data do you want to share with Microsoft? That's what it's going to do. So I'll just spare you the details and just move past that. All right, so first things first, you can see my server manager is loading up here. So I'll let it load up. And while it is loading, and you can see that I have way too many machines at the moment right here. I'm going to start with installing VMware tools. And while VMware tools are loading up, I'll click on local server. Click on local server. You can see that it's getting a little bit slower. Now that is partially because of all the virtual machines that are running here. There are 3 virtual machines that are running here, 2 of which are consuming around 8 GB of RAM. So that is the reason why this feels and looks a little bit slower now. Okay, setup. I'm just running the setup. Now again, going back to the server manager, I'll click on the computer name here. Now this is all happening mostly because the Windows services are very slow to load up in the background. I'm going to rename this NITA ADDS02. Right. Okay. Now, while this is happening, I'm going to also close, restart later. My VMware tools will also start running in a minute, as you can see here. Now, remember that the reason why I'm pushing everything together is just so that I can condense the entire installation or condense the entire setup into as small of a package as possible. Now, you don't have to do it that way. You can also do it other ways. You can just, like for example, I can change the IP address here. I can do all of the things here based on my requirement and my necessity. Next, install. But I'm going to leave the IP addresses and everything for now. I'll not do it. I'll just install VMware tools, restart this virtual machine, and once it restarts, then we will proceed ahead with changing the IP address, turning off the firewall, installing ADDS, and promoting this server to a domain controller. So I'll just wait for this to complete here and restart it. You can see starting services and everything, it's happening as normal. We're not doing anything strange or anything out of the ordinary here. We are trying to keep everything similar or the same in terms of the structure here. Okay, let's see. Now again, you can see this here. I'm going to click on finish. I'm going to say yes. And now my virtual machine is restarting. Now, the best part about VMware tools is the fact that you can copy and paste things, and that makes life a whole lot easier. It makes life a breeze. Now, once this VM restarts, we're going to change the IP address. We are going to change the firewall settings and install ADDS and promote the server to a domain controller with the domain name netsoftakademy.com. Completely independent here. All right, so I'll wait for this to start again. Now, one thing is the fact that it does start up a little bit quicker than normal. Windows Server 2022 and 2019 were a little bit slower to start. But on the flip side, the internal services or the internal GUI elements are slower to load. So that evens out the time that it takes for both Windows Server 2022 and 2019 and Windows Server 2025. All three of them are the same. You can see you are logged in and still the GUI elements are still loading up in the background. All right. So first things first. ncpa.cpl on run. Now, I know, I should be doing this the right way, where I right click start, click on run, and type in ncpa.cpl and click on enter. That does lead to the same result, by the way. If I click on local server here, and if I would click on network, it would lead me to the same exact location as this one. But I'm going to right click this, properties. Now the IP address for this one would be 172.16.10.20. All even numbers now. So 172.16.10.20. 3 255s. 172.16.10.1 would be the gateway. 172.16.10.20 will be the default IP preferred DNS IP address. Okay, done. Tools. Windows Defender firewall with advanced security. And you can see that it's a little bit slower. Properties. Turn off domain profile, turn off private profile, turn off public profile. Apply. Okay. Done. Now we are going to install the ADDS or Active Directory Domain Services roles and features. So I'll click on add roles and features. Next. Role based or feature based installation. Yes, next. Now make sure that your machine name is correct and the IP address is also here. Now you will see here that the machine IP address hasn't still registered in the system. It's okay. You can just refresh the server once or twice and it will automatically work, but not a problem. Next. Now, part of the reason why this is taking longer here is because of all the services that are being loaded in the background. And there are a host of different services here. See? There are a host of different services. So we are waiting for these services to complete loading up. So I'll wait for this, and once it loads up, then we can move ahead. All right, so once it moved forward, Active Directory domain services, add features, 3 nexts, and install. That's it. Now I'll wait for this to complete installation here. Once the feature installation is done, then we will start promoting the server to a domain controller status. All right, so the ADDS installation is complete. So now we can just promote the server to the domain controller. Promote the server to a domain controller, add a new forest. This one is going to be NetSoft Academy.com. Now, after this, it will just be next until most of the times. We don't have to do anything. There's not going to be any problems. Password 1350, password 1350. Next. Now, these are all things that are automatically filled in for us. We don't have to worry about it too much. So that's one thing that is good for us, or that works in our favor at least. Next. Now, once the prerequisite checks are done, then we will be able to complete the installation properly. And we can just click on install, and that would be it. Install. And now we just have to wait for the system to restart. And once it restarts, it will start the ADDS installation. This will become the domain controller that we need it to be. In the end, all we would need to do is just check in and make sure that everything is set up as planned. So we'll wait for this to restart, and once it restarts, we will complete the remaining steps. So after restarting, I am going to sign in first, and you can see that this is a domain controller just by the name here, where it says NetSoft IT Academy or NetSoft Academy and Administrator. I'm going to log in with the password 1350 here. Now, I'll be doing one or two things here just as verification and just to make sure that everything else is in sequence after this. First, as soon as the server manager starts, which it has, as soon as I call it, I'll click on Tools. Now, I will have to wait a little bit, however, because as you can see, it is still loading up. My start bar hasn't still loaded up. My taskbar, nothing else is loading up yet. It is still processing all of these graphical elements, but I click on Active Directory Users and Computers from Tools. And it is also in the pipeline now. This will all take some time to process. That's the only thing that is going on here. And I can't minimize anything. That's another problem with this. See, I can't minimize anything because my taskbar isn't here yet. As you can see, my taskbar isn't here, so I can't do anything much. I'll have to give it a minute to just load up all of the necessary services. And this is happening mostly because it is a little bit slow to process all of the requests. All right, so once I'm here, I right click on the time, click on adjust date and time. I'm just going to adjust the time first, and once my Active Directory tool users and computers load up here, I'll show you what I wanted to check in before I completed this lab here. So under time and language, set it to Eastern, US and Canada. All right, done. I'm going to close this. Now, again, this is my domain, and if I click on the domain controllers, I can find that my domain controller is here. So that verifies everything, and that also verifies that the installation went smoothly. And this is where I'm going to stop this lab. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next lab.
Thank you for watching NetSoft IT Academy. 905-812-2923. info@netsoftakademy.com. www.netsoftakademy.com.